15 of the most gifted voices music has ever produced. Each one was at the absolute peak, the kind of peak most people spend their entire lives chasing. And then in 1 second, one statement, one decision made on a stage or in a room or in front of a camera, it was over.
So nice, I got you.
Not gradually, not slowly. In a single moment that everyone who witnessed it remembered for the rest of their lives. What we're about to walk through isn't just about failure. It's about that specific, irreversible thing. The moment when the world decided that's too far. And once that door closed, it never fully opened again.
To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal. Light up a stage and wax a chump like a candle. Dance!
Number 15, Terrence Trent D'Arby.
Kissing like a bandit, stealing time.
You've heard the songs, Wishing Well, Sign Your Name.
Wish me love or wishing well.
If you were alive in 1987, you know exactly how much noise Terrence Trent D'Arby made when he arrived. His debut album, and I know that title's a mouthful, sold over 13 million copies worldwide. 13 million. He won the Grammy for Best R&B Vocal Performance in 1988. He was magnetic, gifted, and he knew it. But here's where the story turns. In virtually every interview he gave, D'Arby didn't just suggest he was talented, he declared himself historic. He told the press his debut was the most important debut album since Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Now, when you've just put out a 13 million seller, you might be forgiven for some overconfidence. But Sgt. Pepper, the Beatles, that's a specific mountain to announce you've already climbed.
Come on, and wish me love or wishing well, kiss and tell.
Then his second album came out in 1989. Neither fish nor flesh. He was so convinced it was a masterpiece, he held a listening party. The album was dense, experimental, demanding in ways his audience wasn't ready for. And the public walked away. It sold a fraction of the debut. His third record did the same. He eventually changed his name to Sananda Maitreya in the 1990s and relocated to Europe. The massive audience he should have had, the one his talent deserved, never quite found him again. And here's what makes it land differently. He wasn't wrong about being gifted. He genuinely was one of the most compelling vocalists of that era. But the distance between his self-image and the public's response was so vast, it created a rift that neither side ever fully crossed. The moment he compared himself to the Beatles, he set a standard he couldn't meet twice. And the music business doesn't forget those kind of promises. And
Right beside a riverboat gambler.
Number 14, Donna Summer.
It's so good, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good, it's so...
You know this voice. If you were alive in the late 70s, this woman was the sound of the decade. Last Dance, Hot Stuff, Bad Girls. She works hard for the money. The Queen of Disco. A voice that could fill any room it entered. In the gay community, they made her. The clubs, the DJs, the loyal fans who wore out her records and packed her shows. She knew that. She honored that for years. Then 1983 happened. During a concert in Atlantic City, and the exact words are disputed, there's no recording, a reviewer for The Village Voice reported that Summer made remarks tying AIDS to God's punishment for homosexuality. Whether she said exactly what was reported, no one can prove. What isn't disputed is what happened next. Her records were banned from gay clubs overnight. Act Up picketed her shows. Thousands of fans returned her albums to the record company. The community that had elevated her wanted nothing to do with her. She denied it. She wrote letters. She took out a full-page ad in 1987 repudiating everything. She did AIDS benefit concerts. She sued New York Magazine over the story. She addressed it publicly in 1989, 1991, and 1999. And if you've ever tried to take back something people believed you said, something that struck at their deepest wound, you already know that apologies don't travel the same road as the original accusation. They don't reach the same places. They don't hit the same people. She died in 2012. Her music outlived the controversy, but the commercial momentum she once had was gone from the night that story broke. Real talk, only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 13, MC Hammer.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
In 1990, MC Hammer was selling records nobody else was touching.
Fresh new kicks and bands. You got it like that. Now you know you want to dance. So move.
You Can't Touch This, certified multi-platinum, Grammy-winning, inescapable. He had a Saturday morning cartoon. He had the pants.
Burn the charts. Legit. Either work hard or you might as well quit.
You know the pants. He was, for a very specific and chaotic moment in American pop culture, one of the most visible entertainers on earth. And then he made a decision that changed everything.
Yeah. You can't touch this.
Not one bad performance, not one scandal, one decision to live at a scale the money couldn't sustain. He built a 50,000 square foot mansion in Fremont, California, a $33 million property with a recording studio, basketball court, and tennis courts.
All around the world, from London to the Bay. It's hammer, go, hammer, empty hammer, yo.
He employed over 200 people on his personal payroll. At his peak, he was spending faster than the checks cleared.
Can't touch this.
The 1991 album Too Legit to Quit came with an elaborate TV special and more spending.
Stand in there, man. You can't touch this. Yo, sound the bell. School is in, sucker.
Then the record started selling less, then significantly less. And the bills kept coming.
Stop. Hammer time.
By 1996, he filed for bankruptcy. $13 million in debt.
This with others making records that just don't hit.
The house was gone. The staff was gone. Here's the thing about this kind of fall, and I want you to stay with me on this.
Pump a little bit and let them know what's going on like that. Like that. Pull little bitches to fall.
It's not just a story about money. It's a story about what happens when you believe the peak is a permanent address rather than a moment in time.
You know you can't touch this. Ring the bell. School's back in. Break it down.
And if you've ever made one decision that felt fine in the moment and then watched everything downstream change because of it, you know that specific quiet regret.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
The kind where you can trace every consequence back to a single yes.
Yeah, that's how we living, and you know, can't touch this. Look at my
Hammer rebuilt over the years, but those heights, they're gone.
word, because you know, you can't touch this.
Number 12, James Brown,
I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't.
the godfather of soul. 50 years of sweat and innovation.
When I hold you.
Papa's got a brand new bag. I got you. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. The man was a living institution.
I know that I can't do no wrong.
His footwork alone changed the way people thought about what a human body could do on a stage, which is why September 24th, 1988 is so hard to sit with.
So good. So good.
Brown came to an insurance seminar he co-owned in Augusta, Georgia, and found strangers using his private bathroom. He came out of his office holding a shotgun. What followed was a 2-state car chase through Georgia and into South Carolina that covered miles of highway and left his truck riddled with police bullets.
I feel nice.
When they stopped him, he was intoxicated on PCP.
When I hold
He was convicted and sentenced to 6 years in prison. He served 2.
so nice. So nice.
By that point, Brown was in his mid-50s, past his commercial peak, but still relevant, still commanding, still performing.
So nice. So nice. I got you.
The arrest changed the narrative permanently. What had been a story about an American original became a story about a man in free fall.
I knew that I wouldn't.
And even after his release, even as he kept touring into the 2000s, the shadow that night cast never fully lifted.
I know that I can't do no wrong.
Some of y'all remember hearing about this for the first time, because James Brown wasn't just an entertainer. He was a symbol.
But I got you. So good.
He represented something about Black excellence and dignity and reinvention that went far beyond the music itself.
So good. I got you.
And watching a symbol break, even briefly, even because of demons we understand, does something to you that's hard to fully put into words.
Do you know harm? And I feel nice.
Number 11, Axl Rose,
She's got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of
summer 1991. Guns N' Roses was the most dangerous rock band on earth. Appetite for destruction had gone to a scale nobody predicted. Welcome to the jungle, Paradise City, sweet child of mine. And Axl Rose had one of the most distinctive voices in the history of the genre. That extended range, that rawness, that coiled spring energy. Then came July 2nd. Riverport Amphitheater, St. Louis, Missouri. Midway through the show, a fan near the front was photographing the concert with a camera.
Do we go now? Where do we go?
Security was doing nothing. Rose saw it, dove off the stage into the crowd, grabbed the camera, and was dragged back up by his own crew. He walked back to the microphone, said something to the effect of, "Thanks to the great security we've got," dripping with sarcasm, dropped the mic and walked off. What happened in the next 20 minutes? 60 people injured, over $200,000 in damage to the venue. Seats torn out, equipment destroyed. Axl was charged with assault and property damage. The fallout from that night ran for years. Promoters became skittish, venues raised their requirements, tour dates disappeared. By 1993, Slash and other original members were pulling away from the band. The specific chemistry that made Guns N' Roses what they were between 1987 and 1991, that combination of egos and talent that produced something genuinely dangerous, that was over. One mic drop, one stage dive, and the best version of that band walked off with it. Number 10, George Michael, 1998, Beverly Hills, California. George Michael was arguably the most commercially successful British solo artist of the 1980s. Let's Whisper, Faith, Father Figure, One More Try, songs that have outlasted entire musical eras. Part of the appeal. Then an undercover police officer arrested him in a public restroom at Will Rogers Memorial Park. Lewd conduct in one afternoon, a private life he had guarded for nearly 20 years became front page news in every country on earth. But most people remember about what happened next. He came out. He went on CNN and told the world he was a gay man. He turned his arrest into a declaration, and then he recorded a song called Outside, complete with a video that mocked the very situation that had exposed him. Some people saw that as brave, others saw it differently, but the commercial audience he'd spent 20 years building never fully came. The era of George Michael as a mainstream commercial force on both sides of the Atlantic that ended in a Beverly Hills park on a Tuesday afternoon. And if you've ever wondered whether it's possible to handle a scandal with genuine style and still lose, this is one answer to that question. Number 9, Vanilla Ice.
Ice, ice, baby.
Robert Van Winkle, stage name Vanilla Ice, is the biggest selling rap artist in the world. Ice Ice Baby becomes the first hip-hop single to top the Billboard pop chart. The album to the extreme sells 15 million copies. He's on every magazine cover, every talk show, every living room TV.
Ball, gunshots, ranged out like a bell. I grabbed my 9, all I heard was shells.
But the foundation had a crack in it. Van Winkle had grown up in a middle-class suburb of Dallas, Texas. The persona he'd built, the street-raised, gang-affiliated, born from hardship tough guy, was largely fabricated. When journalists started digging after the success, the stories didn't add up. The scars he claimed came from knife fights, the gang connections, the dangerous upbringing. The details changed with every interview.
Vanilla with the 9, ready for the chumps on the wall. The chumps acting ill because they're full of ape.
Here's what I think about when I hear this story. He was actually talented. He could rap. He could perform. He had real charisma. But instead of trusting what he actually was, he'd constructed a whole other person.
Crush a speaker that booms. I'm killing your brain like a poisonous mushroom. Deadly when I play a
And when that person was dismantled in public, everything built on top of it came down with it.
The avenue's packed. I'm trying to get away before the jack is jacked. Police on the scene, you know what I mean?
Hip-hop has never been complicated on this particular point. Authenticity isn't negotiable.
Yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while DJ revolves it. Ice, ice, baby.
The community that had made him walked away the moment the fiction was visible. Magazines savaged him. Artists openly mocked him. He became a punchline inside of 18 months.
MCs like a pound of bacon, burning them. If you ain't quick and nimble, I go crazy.
And if you've ever watched something you built get torn down, not because what you made wasn't good, but because the story around it wasn't true, you know that specific kind of humiliation. It doesn't feel like failure. It feels like exposure. Number 8, Rick James.
When I came home last night,
August 2nd, 1991, Hollywood Hills. Rick James gave the world Super Freak in 1981. One of the most immediately recognizable bass lines ever committed to tape.
Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me.
The stage presence, the whole visual language of what he built. But by 1991, the cocaine had been running his decisions for years. On that August night, James and his girlfriend Tanya Hijazi were arrested on allegations of holding a 24-year-old woman captive in his home for 6 days.
Give it to me. Give me that stuff, that funk, that sweet, that funky stuff.
The charges included assault with a deadly weapon, false imprisonment, and forced sexual acts. They burned their victim more than 20 times with a hot crack pipe while out on bail. He was then charged with kidnapping and assaulting a music executive in a hotel room.
Funky stuff. Give it to me. Give me that stuff, that funk, that sweet, that funky stuff.
I'm going to be direct. There's no version of this story that ends with sympathy. Not because we can't hold complicated feelings about complicated people, we can, but because the specifics of what he was convicted of go beyond anything a career comeback can cover. He served 2 years at Folsom Prison. He was released in 1996 and tried to come back. He had a brief cultural moment in the early 2000s when Dave Chappelle turned him into a memorable character. But the legitimate, sustained commercial career, the one his early talent at Motown genuinely warranted, that ended on a night in 1991 in the Hollywood Hills.
You wouldn't make love to me. You went faster.
Talent is real, and it doesn't cancel behavior. This is what it looks like when those two facts stop being able to share the same space. Number 7, Jerry Lee Lewis. In 1957, the conversation about who was going to be the king of rock and roll was genuinely open. Elvis was in it, obviously. But there was another man, a piano player from Faraday, Louisiana, right at the center of that argument. Whole lot of shaking going on. Great balls of fire. His fee for performances had reached $15,000 a night.
Okay, Cat. That's the way you want it.
Sam Phillips at Sun Records, the man who discovered Elvis, Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, Roy Orbison, said Jerry Lee Lewis was the most talented man he had ever worked with, black or white. Then he stepped off a plane at Heathrow Airport in May 1958. When reporters asked about the young woman at his side, he said she was his wife. And she was. Myra Gale Brown, his first cousin once removed. 13 years old, the British tabloids detonated, cradle robber, baby snatcher. Within days, the tour was canceled after 3 shows, and when he returned to America, the story had crossed the ocean before him. Radio stations stopped playing his records. Promoters dropped him. His fee fell from $15,000 a night to $250,000. He spent the next decade in the wilderness. He eventually reinvented himself as a country artist in 1968 and climbed back to the charts. But the rock and roll crown, the one Sam Phillips believed was his to claim, was gone. Elvis picked it up while Lewis wasn't looking. One reporter, one question at an airport, and 10 years of rebuilding. Number 6, Jim Morrison. March 1st, 1969, Miami, Florida. The Dinner Key Auditorium, a converted seaplane hangar with no air conditioning, 10,000 people packed inside, temperature climbing. By 1969, the Doors were at the height of their powers. Light My Fire, Riders on the Storm, People Are Strange. But Morrison had been dissolving for months. He wanted to be a poet, not a rock star. He'd seen a theater company that confronted audiences rather than entertain them, and he wanted to try it himself. That night, he was visibly intoxicated before the show even started. What followed, depending on who you believe, included obscenities, incitement, and alleged indecent exposure. "500 photographs from that night were entered as evidence at trial, and not one definitively showed what he was accused of. But 6 arrest warrants were issued, a felony count, profanity, public drunkenness. What happened next was almost the definition of an unstoppable chain. Show after show was canceled across the country. Promoters refused to book them. The Doors went from one of the highest grossing live acts in America to essentially unbookable overnight.
And our love become a funeral pyre.
Morrison was convicted in September of 1970 and sentenced to 6 months in jail. He fled to Paris to wait out the appeal. He never left. He died there in July 1971. He was 27. The Doors never performed again. And if you've ever watched someone you cared about push the self-destruct button in slow motion, knowing what it was, knowing they could stop, this story will feel very familiar. One night, one stage, one last act of defiance that ended everything.
Know that it will be untrue. Know that I would.
Number 5, Cat Stevens.
Now that I've lost everything to you, say you wanna.
This name comes from a different place than most people on this list.
And I'll always remember you like a child.
Wild World, Father and Son, Peace Train.
And beware.
Cat Stevens was one of the most emotionally clear singer-songwriters the 1970s produced. Songs that understood something about the distance between who you were and who you were trying to become. He sold over 100 million records worldwide.
And I'll always remember you like a child girl.
He was loved, genuinely loved. Then in 1977, he converted to Islam, changed his name to Yusuf Islam, and walked away from pop music entirely. His choice, his conviction.
A lot of nice friends out there, but just remember there's a lot of bad.
That's not the moment we're talking about. In February 1989, Ayatollah Khomeini issued a religious death order, a fatwa, against British author Salman Rushdie for his novel The Satanic Verses.
Oh, baby, baby.
The Islamic world was in upheaval, and Yusuf Islam, formerly Cat Stevens, made public statements at a university lecture and on British television that appeared to endorse the fatwa.
Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world.
He said Rushdie deserved death under Islamic law. When asked whether he'd attend a protest burning an effigy of the author, he said he'd have preferred the real thing.
Get by just upon a smile.
Radio stations pulled his music overnight. 10,000 Maniacs removed Peace Train from their album.
Remember, there's a lot of bad and beware.
The man who had written the most gentle humanist music of his generation became, in the public imagination, someone who had endorsed a death sentence against a fellow artist.
Girl, you know I've seen a lot of what the
He spent decades insisting he'd been misquoted, that the BBC had edited him unfairly, that it was all taken out of context.
just upon a smile.
Rushdie himself pushed back on those claims publicly for 30 plus years. All the beautiful music, still there, still being played. But never again without that shadow above it.
Ooh, baby, baby, it's a
Number 4, John Lennon, March, 1966.
Imagine there's no heaven.
John Lennon gave an interview to journalist Maureen Cleave for the London Evening Standard.
It isn't hard to do.
In his kitchen, talking, thinking out loud. He said, "Meow, we're more popular than Jesus now. I don't know which will go first, rock and roll or Christianity."
Imagine no possessions.
In England, it caused barely a ripple. Published, noted, moved on. Then in July 1966, an American teen magazine called Datebook put the quote on its cover.
No hell.
Right as the Beatles were preparing their last American tour. And in about 48 hours, everything changed. Radio stations across the American South began banning Beatles music. Public record-burning ceremonies were organized.
Imagine all the people.
A disc jockey in Birmingham, Alabama, named Tommy Charles, started organizing bonfires of Beatles albums.
No need for greed.
Churches held burning events. The Ku Klux Klan picketed concert venues. Death threats poured in. The FBI opened a file. Lennon held a press conference. He tried to clarify, "I'm not saying we're better than Jesus. I didn't mean what people understood it to mean." You know how that goes. The correction never travels as far as the original headline. The Beatles completed that 1966 tour under genuine, credible threat.
Nothing to kill.
And their last concert was August 29th, 1966 at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. They never performed live again as a band, ever. Think about that for a second. The greatest live band in the history of rock and roll played their last concert because of 8 words taken out of context from a kitchen conversation.
It isn't hard to do.
He was murdered in December 1980. He never got to see how history would eventually treat those 8 words, but it did treat them kindly.
I hope someday you'll join.
Number 3 is the one that still doesn't feel real, even decades later. Number 3, Milli Vanilli.
Blame it on the rain. Yeah, yeah.
Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus were everywhere. Girl, you know it's true. Blame it on the rain. Baby, don't forget my number.
On the rain that was falling. Blame
4 number 1 singles in the United States. 7 million albums sold worldwide. 3 American Music Awards.
Could have said you were wrong.
And in February 1990, the Grammy Award for Best New Artist. Here's what you already know, and what somehow still feels impossible every time you sit with it.
Blame it on the rain. 'Cause the rain don't mind.
They didn't sing a single note Not one note on any of those records. The vocals belonged to three other men, Brad Howell, John Davis, and Charles Shaw, hired by German producer Frank Farian, who had been running this exact playbook since his 1970s group Boney M. Morvan and Pilatus were the faces, the bodies, the image. Farian told them it was temporary. He'd let them record eventually. He never did. When they finally demanded to sing on the second album, Farian went public first, November 14th, 1990, press conference. He admitted everything. Arista Records dropped them the same day. Their album was pulled from shelves. Class action lawsuits from fans seeking refunds. On November 19th, 5 days later, the Recording Academy revoked their Grammy Award. It is the only time in Grammy history that an award has ever been taken back. The only time. In over 60 years of ceremonies, Rob Pilatus was found dead in a Frankfurt hotel room on April 2nd, 1998. An accidental overdose at 33, and the actual singers, Howell and Davis, the men whose voices you heard on every one of those records, almost no one ever learned their names. That part still sits with me in a way the rest of the story doesn't. Number 2, Sinead O'Connor.
I go out every night and sleep.
October 3rd, 1992, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York City, live, national television, millions watching. Sinead O'Connor was 26 years old. 2 years earlier, Nothing Compares to You had been one of the biggest songs in the world.
Tell me, baby, where did I go?
Her facing that rain, those tears running down. She had won 3 MTV Video Music Awards. She was at the absolute peak of what pop music could offer. She walked to the microphone for her second performance of the night. No band behind her, a cappella. She sang Bob Marley's War, a song about oppression and injustice.
All the flowers that you planted, mama.
She changed one lyric. She replaced the word racism with child abuse. At the end of the song, she held up a photograph, looked directly into the camera, tore it in half, then in half again, dear, and said, "Fight the real enemy." Then she blew out her candles and walked off stage. The photograph was of Pope John Paul II. It had come from her late mother's bedroom wall.
These lonely tears from falling.
In her 2021 memoir, she described what it was like backstage. "Literally not a human being is in sight," she wrote. "All doors have closed. Everyone has vanished, including my own manager, who locks himself in his room for 3 days. NBC banned her for life. Joe Pesci, the following week's host, held up a taped-together photo of the Pope and said he would have given her such a smack. 2 weeks later, at Bob Dylan's 30th anniversary concert at Madison Square Garden, she was booed so severely she couldn't perform. Chris Christopherson held her on stage. A bulldozer crushed her records in Times Square.
Since you took your love away.
In 2001, 9 years after that night, Pope John Paul II publicly acknowledged child sexual abuse by Catholic priests.
Nothing can stop.
She had been right, 9 years ahead of the whole world. She died on July 26, 2023, at 56. And the number one spot on this list belongs to someone whose moment didn't just end a career. It ended an era that the whole world was still living in. Number 1, Jerry Lee Lewis.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives a man.
In 1957, there was a real debate happening about who was going to take the crown.
Kiss me, baby.
Elvis Presley was on one side of it, and on the other side was a man from Faraday, Louisiana. A piano player who hit keys like they'd insulted him, who sang like his whole body was on fire.
Mr. Freed, Jerry Lee Lewis can blow Chuck Berry.
Whole lot of shaking going on. Great balls of fire, breathless.
Okay, Cat. That's the way you want it.
By early 1958, Jerry Lee Lewis was commanding $15,000 a night. That's nearly $160,000 in today's money.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Sam Phillips, the man at Sun Records who discovered Elvis, Johnny Cash, Roy Orbison, and Carl Perkins, said Lewis was the most talented human being he had ever encountered. The crown was his to take. Then he stepped off a plane at London's Heathrow Airport in May 1958. A single reporter was there, just one. Lewis told him the young woman at his side was his wife. She was Myra Gale Brown.
It feels good. Hold me, baby. I want to love.
His first cousin once removed, 13 years old, and it turned out he was still technically married to his previous wife when he married her. The British press erupted. Cradle robber, baby snatcher. The tour was canceled after 3 shows. He was practically run out of the country. And when he landed back in America, the story had made the flight with him.
1 hits and you've had only 2 in the top 10.
Well, who's got the number 1 record right now?
Radio stations stopped playing his records. Concert promoters dropped him. His nightly fee, that $15,000 a night, fell to $250,000. He spent a decade in the wilderness. He rebuilt himself as a country artist in 1968 and climbed back to respectability. He outlived Elvis. He outlived most of his generation. He died in 2022 at 87.
It's in his contract that he closes a show.
But the version of Jerry Lee Lewis, who was supposed to become the king of rock and roll, that man never got his chance. He was erased at an airport in England in May 1958 by one reporter and one honest answer to one question. And whether that was justice or tragedy, I'll let you decide.
Right off of that stage.
Why do I have to go on before him?
Because he's at 6 number